All right, so let's get into the main lecture, and I'm going to start by reviewing the exercise that you did for a basic news story, giving you all feedback on it so you have that individual feedback. If you haven't looked at it yet, pause this video, go back, see the comments I left you in your document, in your actual assignment. That's tailored to the mistakes that you made and what you can improve on. However, I'm also going to go over some just general feedback. A lot of it will apply to many of you. Some of it may be not, but it's just good to hear it and make sure that that we all are on the same page as far as how to improve these as a whole. All right, so I'm going to pull up one here that is a student's, and I think it's just a good illustration because the student had a lot going on that was done well, and then also some of those basic, errors, or I should say, just basic areas that they need to improve on, where I think the whole class or most of you, struggled as well. So let's start here. I didn't really take a lot of time on the headline. Your book has gone over headline writing, but right now I'm more focused on just the content. How is the story structured? Where did you place the information, which was the most important? And before I even get into this, let me give you this as an idea to understand. So the lead, while you are trying to get the who, what, when, where, why, how, you don't always have to get all of it in the lead. And you're also not getting too specific. You're not naming every specific name. You're not doing every location. You're not doing all these numbers, right? The lead is supposed to just to be a broad idea of what happened. So let me give an example here. Let's say this could be a lead. And remember, if you're going to learn, of course, you've been exposed to a lead, but in your chapters you've learned about it. But this chapter this week will go more into leads. But let's start with this. Lead is one paragraph and in one sentence. So it's a one sentence paragraph. Sometimes you can bend the rules, get two sentences in there, but right now let's practice on getting just one sentence and it's one paragraph. So automatically, even just looking here, I know that I'm going to have to do this, right? You're always going to want this, just a one sentence lead. But let's not use the story. I'm going to make up one right now. Maybe your lead could be a Middlesex community college professor was so upset with the way students handed a test that he had flipped over his computer and police had to come and arrest him and escort him off campus, right? I don't even exactly remember what I said, but here is what I'm trying to get at you. In there, yes, you do know the who. It was a professor. You do know the where. It was at, I think I said the Middlesex campus, but if not, I would say that, right? You do know what happened. Flipped the desk and threw it. Police came. We don't know the why, so there's a few pieces missing. Oh, actually, we do know the why. Was so mad at, students on whatever they did on a test. So you get it there. I put in the general story. Even if I didn't tell you anything more, you kind of know what happened. Professor got mad at this location and flipped the desk because students weren't, doing what they should on a test or cheating on a test or whatever I said. Right? That's the general idea. Notice what I didn't do. I didn't say the specific name. I didn't say Professor Chiara. I didn't say at what time. I didn't say how many police officers came to arrest. I didn't say how many students were in the class. I didn't say what class it was. Like, was it a history class, a communication class? You get where I'm going with this? I didn't bog it down with too many details. And that's the key. You want to give just enough so they understand it. It's broad enough, but you're saving the details for the nut graph and beyond. So that's one thing you have to understand, right? The lead is a one sentence hook. So this student, now coming back to your assignment, did a good job keeping it broad, though I would change some things around. Try to avoid writing in second or first person, so you is second person. So you could just say, a recent study has suggested that, somebody, not that that's me just filling words here. A recent study has suggested that those who are left-handed will live less than their right-handed peers, something like that. It's one sentence long, but automatically I know the general gist. I know lefties for some reason live less than righties, and a study has shown that. Even if I didn't read anything else, I understand what happened in this story, right? This student got kind of close. Did you know that which hand you use could determine how long you live? I would try to avoid question marks, the questions to start, make it a declarative sentence, but they had the right idea. Now, they had it bundled in here with everything else, which you don't want to do. You want to separate that, right? But that's a good general idea. Here's where the student did a nice job here. The nut graph, that's the next paragraph down, that is, when they say nut graph, think of it like in a nutshell, the story in a nutshell. That is within 2-3 sentences, you have many of the specific details, and you understand more specifically what happened. So going back now, I know I'm flipping back and forth, but going back to my Middlesex story, right? Professor, had flipped because of test. Professor Adam Chiara flipped his computer and his desk during a communication class when he saw students were cheating. Period. A student called the police, and three police officers had to come and escort Chiara off campus while he was swearing. Period. I don't know, and I have to think of one other thing for details. I'm trying to make up the story on the top of my head, but hopefully you see the trend here. That paragraph now walks you through it, and I can start to reveal more of those details. I'm revealing more of the specifics. I revealed what class it was, the professor's name. I revealed how the police even came, how many police officers, what was happening when it was doing it. That's where you're revealing more of the details. So even if I didn't read anything else and beyond there, I would have a better idea of what the story was. So this student, now switching back to here, this student does that for this, right? In a study conducted by Diane Halpern and Stanley Korn, though I would say where they're from the blah, blah, blah University, they found an average age of right-handed people of 75 and lefties in 66. To get to this information, they study and they tell me a little bit of how I did the study. This is where, it could be a little different. Maybe you put in more of what the study found and this becomes background information, though I still think it works the way they have it here. I wasn't against that they put this in here, but, the point is that nut graph paragraph, that second paragraph, starting to put more of that information together. All right, looking here now, then they start to get into quotes and the background information. So what did I see here they have where it was from, though I'd probably put that up above, but you could get away with it like this. Then they talk, they have some quotes. They talk about, you should not predict any lifetime. It's dispositive, that it's 100% that this is going to happen. This is what I like here. Now they start to get into more details here. These are background details. They talk about, the 4 times more likely to die in injury. So how do they die? You're getting into some more of these background details. And then they close with, don't try to change your kid's hand or don't try to change hands. You should basically be fine, right? So what I'm trying to communicate here with you is thinking about, as far as information, here's a good way to do it. If I were to just cut off this bottom here, does the story still make sense? Do I have enough details to understand? It should, right? You shouldn't save the most valuable information for the bottom. Okay. If I were to do that, do I still have have I lost any critical information that makes me understand the story or not? No? Okay. And you can keep doing this exercise, right? And so this becomes important because let's say you have, what's really important for this study is that, I don't know, I'm trying to think what would be, or for this story is that, they need to know that, how the study was done. I'm trying to think of what I would have thought was most valuable. They need to know how the study was done, and they need to know what the age rate, let's do it this way. They need to know how long, that it was a 10-year span, because maybe from the beginning you could think, well, is it a 5-year span or is it a 30-year span, right? So I know that span is important. Well, then you got to make sure that it's not somewhere here, that you're going to want to have that in the first 2 paragraphs, maybe 3 paragraphs. This student has it right here, the average age. So that's good. And so you could do that exercise when you're looking at where am I putting the information. If I were to cut from the bottom up, do I have the most valuable information? Could someone just read the lead and the nut graph and know enough to understand the main concept, the main principle, right? Here, I'm going to have you do this on your own, but I do have here the real versions of the story by the New York Times and the Los Angeles Times. They both did their own approach to it. So if you guys read it, you'll see both leads are a little different, but they have that same principle, and it's one sentence. You see the nut graph, they have their nut graph broken down into 2 paragraphs, but the same idea, right? You can see what they thought was the most valuable information. Then you have the LA Times. So go ahead and read this on your own, but there's more than one route to get to the story. These 2 different journalists saw the same information. They wrote it in slightly different ways, yet they used the same foundation, the same principles to create this story, and you'll see what you're learning in your books, what we're talking about being applied here. They just did it a little differently, and that's kind of the fun in this. It's like a puzzle. You all have the information. You all can create your own different story, but there should be the main concepts should be applied, no matter how you do it. So speaking of that, let's take a look here at, since we're talking about lead and nut graphs, let's take a look at another good example here. And I have this one that I pulled out. So this is from the Hartford Courant. So automatically look at this. I can see that, except for that we got the ads here. They got to make, oops. Automatically here, I see there's a lead. The lead is one sentence, and the nut graph here, which is only a couple sentences. So this is what I'm talking about. Your lead right here, before I even start, if this was something I was grading, before I even started, I know, okay, well, at least they have a one sentence paragraph to start. So I know that their format is good. Hartford's younger residents are leading the way when it comes to starting their own businesses. Okay, so do I have an idea what this story is about? Yeah, I know who they are. Hartford's younger residents. I know what it's about. They seem to be leading the way. They seem to be entrepreneurs. Hartford has a high population of entrepreneurs. Do I know why? No. When? I guess when. Yeah, we know it's now. We know it's in the present, and it doesn't specifically need to be a date, right? So you're getting an idea right here. This is enough to hook you, and you also want to learn a little bit more. And even if I don't read anything else, I know what the story's about. I know the main takeaway. Hartford young residents seem to be the top, probably in the country, I'm guessing, but up there when it comes to being entrepreneurs, creating a business. Let's take a look at the nut graph. A recent study by LendingTree, so I know who's conducting it now, they're getting into the specifics, looks at what major U.S. cities have the youngest entrepreneurs, and Hartford came in number 5. There's a key detail. Notice they didn't bog this all down here in the lead, right? They didn't put all this in the lead. The average for the new business was 39, the study says, but an average in Hartford is 38.15, right? And I'll even include this as part of the nut graph too. The study looked at 50 major cities, and millennials were the most prevalent entrepreneurs of them all. Not surprising, since millennials make up the largest generation in the U.S. right now. Gen X is the second most, right? So they're getting you a little bit more details. So even if I just read this lead, and I'll put these two together as a nut graph, though, even just this right here, I know I know a lot of the details. I know where they rank. I know who's being compared. I know all of that, right? Then as you go on, you'll see that they start to unravel more of the background information and some more details. But this is a good example of how you're almost slowly introducing more information, right? Give the reader some time to process and then kind of, narrow in and focus more. And let's take a look at one more here. And this is the actual, this one will go all the way here. So this is a hard news story. As you all know from hard news is something that's like a fire or, a robbery has happened or, I don't know, a professor flips a desk, right? Like it's something that's very newsworthy because it's timely usually. It is something that is just, you kind of have like one shot to cover, right? Now this one's in Thailand, and I always screw up some of these names here, so I might, abbreviate here, but I always use this story because I think it's very well done the way they have the structure and illustrates what we are learning in this class. Expert diver Sunday rescued 4 of 12 boys from a flooded cave in northern Thailand, where they were trapped with their soccer coach for more than 2 weeks, as the dangerous and complicated operation unfolded amid heavy rain and the threat of rising water underground. Now, I understand that is a long sentence, but let's take a look at what they did in this lead, which is one sentence, one paragraph, one sentence. Divers rescued or attempted to rescue 4 boys in a flooded cave. So we know who's doing what, right? We know where in Thailand, northern Thailand. We know, we even know kind of more context, 2 weeks. So why? Well, they've been stuck down there for a while. And we know, there's a heavy rain, so it's threat of rising water. We know why. They got to do it right now, right? So this really covers almost everything. Even if I didn't read anything else, you know what the gist is. You know what happened. Really well done lead. A little long, but, of course, it's done so well that it's acceptable here. Now I'm going to take this as their nut graph here. 8 boys and a coach remained inside the Tham Luang Nang Non cave as authorities paused the international effort to replenish air tanks along the treacherous exit route. Extracting everyone could take up to 4 days, but the initial success raised hope that they could be done. So even in this nut graph, you understand a little bit more. Why it's so dangerous, why they're even doing this. You're just getting a little bit more filled in. Then, as far as structure, they get into a quote. Good job here. The operation went much better than expected. They get right into a quote, so now you're getting a little bit of that spice of that story. And then I won't read all this, but you're going to start to see here, now all the details come. who the boys that were rescued, where did they bring them, how long, the names were not released. I'm just kind of skimming through here, to see what else was here. He said how many divers, there were SEALs, they were like their version of Navy SEALs. Why it's so difficult for them to get down, a little bit more on cave rescuing in general, right? I'm just throwing out here. You can see this is a long story, but these are all just background information, just kind of filling in all those unanswered questions. I'm going to have you, of course, read this, like I said in the instructions, read it later once you've learned once you've gone through the chapters, you understand a little bit better about story structure. But you get the idea here. Thinking about our exercise. If I cut, this paragraph, do I still have all the details? Yes. Do I do this? And I keep working my way up. And I'm not going to do this exercise with you all, but you guys get the idea. All the way up until about here, if I start cutting some of this stuff, now maybe it gets a little bit harder for me to understand. Like, well, why is it so dangerous? That's where these paragraphs explain it. But this was done so well that I could even cut this whole story and even just within here understand the gist. And that's what you're going for. Can I cut from the bottom up? And how much can I, keep including where they understand the story until it gets to the point where they would have no idea what this is about, right? All right. So that was a lot to digest. What I think would be very helpful for you, again, is to read the chapters now. Maybe you want to go back and read, after you've read the chapters, read this story. I think that'll be good to start to connect some of the way this chapter says how to organize information, see how they did it here. Do it with other news sources, too. Go take a look at the stories for Hartford Courant. Take a look at, New York Times or whatever, news outlet that you want to do this experiment with. Understand all this, too. These are best practices. These are general guidelines. It's kind of those things you have to know the rules to break your rules. Does every story follow this exactly? No. Not every hard news story follows this exact model, but most will. And this is the foundational. If you can do this, then you know when to kind of bend the rules or when to make exceptions. But you'll probably notice that more times than not, reporting follows this formula in some way. And even though reporters, like we've seen, like you saw with these examples, or you could go back and read with these examples, they approach it in a slightly different way, maybe organizing information just a little differently. It makes sense for their story structure. Let me reword that. The story structure that they're using, is still getting this main principle across, where the key information that they feel like you need to know for the story is being placed up high, and they're not burying everything at the bottom, and they're trying to decipher what's important for the way that they're telling the story, as far as information that needs to go in the lead and nut graph, as opposed to information that's just background information or helpful to know. All right, chapters to help you out. Then go back, watch this, or read this again. You could watch the video again too, but go through this again. I think it'll be much more helpful for you. You got one more video to go if you need to take a little break here, and then we're going to go over to assignments where you're actually going to apply this and start writing your own hard news story.